Well, hello, that's me again, and we have to talk a little bit today about more general questions, albeit I still will touch upon the situation in Ukraine. But let me give you an example. For example, imagine the regular life, mundane thing in life. Let's say Mr. Smith got drunk yesterday. What I just gave you is called information because it basically explains that just Mr. Smith got drunk yesterday. Now, then we can say that Mr. Smith got drunk yesterday because he was celebrating the final divorce from his bitchy, four-wheel drive bitchy abusive wife of 20 years, and that is why he got drunk. What I gave you here is not just information, I gave you the knowledge. And that's what the thing is with many people who do not understand that, like, oh, I got informed. Well, yeah, we know it's a kind of established expression in not only English, in Russian language, for example, too, but we have to understand that getting informed and having or gaining knowledge are two different things. And whenever people ask me, and I gave this definition to knowledge myself many years ago, that knowledge is basically the all fullness of the information which is fitted in the Procrustean bed of the causality. You need to know cause and effect. And fact, for example, that Mr. Smith got drunk is just merely information. It's a bit. It's maybe, I don't know, 64 bits or something, But when we know that he got drunk because his four-wheel drive bitch wife was abusing him for 20 years and he finally divorced her, well, that's you begin to understand, because you have now the cause and you have the effect. The cause is divorce and the effect is Mr. Smith celebrating his freedom from his bitchy wife. That's the difference. And that applies to everything. The fact is, this fundamental issue is very simple. I mean, anybody with IQ above room temperature can grasp it. And that's also the main reason why, for example, propaganda machine sometimes works so effectively. Now, and when you understand the difference between information and knowledge, that's where you begin to kind of get oriented a little bit, or you begin to approach this famous Colonel Boyd's loop of OODA: observe, orient, decide, and act. So today we have yet another provocation from Ukraine and its Nazi regime. They staged their 400 bodies, most of those bodies most likely either killed or just plain simple just live people wrapped into the stupid body bags, that Russian army killed 400 civilians, like shooting them. Well, that's called projection. First, we have to understand that West has its hands basically up to the elbows in blood. We can look at the glorious quote-unquote operations in Syria by especially MI6 and all other kind of scam who kill children and women and have no, absolutely compunction about it. So, but yeah, this is pretty much the same thing. Obviously, Russia didn't shoot anybody, and in fact, Russia is involved big time with a massive scale humanitarian help. And by the way, Organization of the Red Cross showed itself to be utterly incompetent, as pretty much any United Nation organization and anything related to all those humanitarian organizations. So it is up to Russian armed forces, which have now actually the whole coordination center headed by the whole general, and Russian army and especially Rosguard, National Guard, delivering enormous amount of the humanitarian loads and cargo to all kinds of places in Ukraine. So, Kadyrov people started yesterday the storming of the Azovstal, which is the last pocket of those fanatics in Mariupol, and as I already stated, and it's been confirmed not only by many sources now, many Many even enlisted of the Eldoner people who deal with that, they describe that even when they are wounded, many of those Azov remnants, they are so high, they are basically on the cocktails of the drugs, some of which obviously they dull the pain, and so they fight like fanatics. But then again, I mean, come on, let's remember Germany, let's remember Hitler Jugend and Hitler Youth and things of this nature. So it's nothing really anything of something of unexpected nature. So it's there. Everybody knows that for who has to know. And then I'm kind of want to wrap this military part, so to speak. And we had an interesting discussion in on the discussion board of my blog about all those Sitreps. And many people don't understand why I'm not sitting there and just compiling all those pieces and bits from the internet and from the whatever TV, what have you, and do it like, oh yeah, this is Sitrep, let's discuss it. The reason I don't do it precisely because of what I just described to you in the beginning of our conversation today, that I totally understand the difference between information and knowledge, and I usually love to operate based on knowledge. And fact is, knowledge under this present situation, and especially Western media, basically lying non-stop. I mean, they are, very many of them are war criminals, be that private so-called journalists or the whole networks like Bloomberg. I mean, they just lie non-stop. It's scumbags basically work there. So, but I cannot do things based on the snippets of the information because I don't have resources to develop it. And even if I would have resources to develop it, I still wouldn't be giving you all what you want, because majority of the people in this time, they are really affected by the extremely high emotional level. It's emotional stress. And many people just literally become addicted to the dopamine of the informational stream. It doesn't matter what kind of informational stream. But we have to understand that 80 to 90% of what you hear from media today, or you grab one or other image, or you read one or other so-called reliable thing, is mostly information. It absolutely doesn't represent any kind of legitimate knowledge. You have to develop the knowledge, and that is the realm of the professionals. But for example, I simply don't have time. But even if I would have time, let alone resources, I probably would be lagging tremendously, behind the development of the events. So in this particular case, I chose what any normal person would choose, to rely upon the statement of the reputable sources. And in this particular case, I read basically Sitreps by Konashenkov, which is Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, LDNR people, and I know a number of the American sources who I know are reliable and good professionals. So that's about it. And in this particular case, we just have to kind of wait and see, because from what I observe and from what I gather, the things are already, especially in the areas which have been liberated, including Mariupol, they're becoming kind of more organized. There are military civilian administrations established, and actually even the food products and everything are returning to the stores, and the clearing continues, and of course the war continues. But as I already stated, you could see, and that was confirmed by Russian Defense Ministry, and even CIA probably will confirm it, because or Pentagon, they have their kind of assets, satellite and electronic assets, to confirm it, like this yesterday demolition of the headquarters of the VSU near Kharkov, with more than 100 of them killed. And so now we have this strange hustle around Mariupol and Azov Steel, and especially from France, and many people begin to speculate that this famous war criminal and pseudo-philosopher and author of the Color Revolution, French scumbag, Henri Bernard Levy, might be there. Well, I mean, it's France's problem. He could be taken, prisoner or just killed. I would rather go for latter than for former, but hey, just me. It's my attitude, and it's very personal and subjective. So that's the situation. Now, but I wanted to talk about it for a while, and let's recall that 2 days ago, I believe, you can very easily look it up on the internet. That is why I don't introduce all those, flashy pictures here. But famous London, The Economist, this rag of the bunch of the modern monetary theory proponents, and who write about mostly stocks and Wall Street, actually suddenly recognized that, and they put it on the front page, that, man, those sanctions on Russia really hurt us more than Russia. And what can I say? I mean, they finally got it. Finally, they begin to really recognize some things. And that's what this whole thing is about. I mean, about Ukraine, that Ukraine, don't forget, never lose the sight of the whole moment. Ukraine is just but another link in a long chain, starting from Georgia War 2008, of the massive geopolitical struggle between Russia and emerging Eurasian huge space, economic space, and combined West. And here we have to go back to basically original assumptions, which has been still, how to say it, revolving around all America's policy against Russia, starting from John McCain and Mr. Obama. And you remember John McCain was saying that, Russia is the gas station masquerading as the country. And of course, Mr. Obama declared that Russian economy was in tatters. So as you know, Mr. Obama is not with us anymore as a POTUS. Mr. McCain is not with us anymore at all, and he's probably burning in hell for his war crimes against the Vietnamese people. But point is, this idea that Russia is a gas station and with the economy smaller than Netherlands is the one which actually brought the United States and especially European Union to this conclusion that, let's sanction Russia and Russians will collapse, and Russian people will rise and things of this nature. And then suddenly, because obviously those people in The Economist or in banks or in Wall Street Journal, they really don't understand how real economy works, and they don't understand what physical economy is, real physical economy. They suddenly begin to write such things, and I can look it up in Wall Street Journal, in all those, Forbes or whatever, the trash, the rags, which write all kinds of bullshit about economy, is that, oh my God, the ruble now is the best performing currency of March. Well, bloody freaking da, what did you expect? And that's what they didn't expect, actually. The fact that the ruble performs that well, not because only Russia, despite the fact that half of its reserves have been basically frozen, and I'm talking about financial reserves, not physical gold. Physical gold is in Russia. But because Russia produces pretty much most of it on her own. It's a massive economy. It's a massive industrial economy. It's massive manufacturing economy. And people who should have followed Russia and her development for the last 20 years, instead of reading Wall Street Journal, all this crap, the economists, they should have known that basically, especially starting from 2010, the massive renationalization of the strategic industries and development of the industrial base, redevelopment rather, the reindustrialization, were hitting, high gears in Russia, big time. And even people who think that, gas and oil are not high technologies, well, they better wake up and sniff the reality, because extraction and the processing are as high-tech as they come. It's all computerized. It's all newest machines. It's all very complex. And now they begin to recognize that, well, Russians are not worried about ruble, which, you remember Mr. Biden several days ago stated that ruble is 200 now, right? Well, obviously he lied, as they all do, top, bottom, but obviously the ruble today is 83, and it's pretty much back to normal what it was before the invasion and before this whole thing unfolded. And this is what I repeat again, and people begin even to quote me, but let me put it this way. I will reiterate it as I already stated, ad nauseam. I will be repeating it non-stop. only physical economy, real physical economy. Some people think that I don't include agriculture. No, agriculture is a part of the physical economy, and real military power, which is derived from it, that's the only thing which matters. Then how you play with currencies and how you support it or how it goes, it's all up to you. For example, Russia started doing the ruble for gas operations now. Slovakia already paying rubles. Now Germany is given, I don't think so it's gonna go anywhere because Germany is pretty much done at this stage, but still Russians gave them the sort of the face-saving exit by telling them to open their currency and ruble accounts in Gazprom Bank. We'll see how Germany will react to this. But in related news today, we know already that in March, the United States, which suddenly exempted Russian mineral fertilizers from their sanctions, is actually increased buying of the Russian oil crude by 43% in March. Well, there you go. And point is that even Germany, which is really it's a lapdog, it's really you cannot even call it the country anymore. It's just basically colony of the United States. It had to actually remove the metals from sanction list, metals from Russia. And things continue like this all over the place. Japan yesterday said, no, we're not going anywhere from Russia joint projects with Russia in gas and crude. Wow, look at that. I mean, but then of course there is another huge sector of the domestic sector of Russia, which again, as I said, produces pretty much everything from shoes. By the way, shoes, oh my God, I wish I could buy Russian shoes. I'm wearing the last pair of them. Those are amazing. So, and yeah, and ending up with aircraft. Commercial and combat aircraft. And people say, oh no, Russia doesn't produce any. Oh, really? Look up Russian commercial aviation and look up how the Sukhoi Superjet Russified already is ready to hit the market. Then look at also MS-21, which is now using Russian composites. And then, of course, because Boeing and Airbus love to shoot themselves in their foot, so Russia might consider, which I think so, it's gonna happen, and I wish it it should go ahead, I think, to basically restart the more or less substantial manufacturing of the excellent Tu-214, and not only with the PS90 engines, but of course once PD-14, which is available now, it's in serial production, they probably even can remotorize it for that. And Tu-214 is an excellent aircraft. And then of course, for now, and it was the plan from the get-go, the probable restoration of the, again, it's still being manufactured for the special purposes for transporting Russian president and the Russian government, but IL-96 is a superb wide-body aircraft, and again, it depends how they will remotorize it, because PD-35 engine, which is excellent, and is pretty much in final stages of its development. Why PD-14 is available, but I don't think so they can put 4 PD-14s on IL-96. It still will require PS-90s. But again, PD-14 was created specifically for the narrow-body aircraft, and it works really well on MS-21. So we have this thing developing, and when you look attentively at Russia's GDP, and I cannot pronounce this GDP thing with straight face because it's such a baloney. But if you look at overall Russian economy, for all its problems, make no mistake, I'm not trying to present a rosy picture. There are issues, there are problems, there were temporary deficit, which of course now is resolved, and prices went down. With sugar, with all those Russian babushkas, when the war started, they just rushed to buy it, and yeah, they have now a lot of sugar, to deal with. Let them bake their pies and what have you. So, and when you look at it, it's just like, this economy is autarkic pretty much, yes. And when you are autarkic, and you can substitute a lot, not everything, but a lot, and a lot of it is being already produced, and then you have the military power which can basically blow you out of the water if you do anything. So there you go, and then you can play with the currencies. What the United States will do. Obviously, Mr. Petraeus, our great guy, he screwed this Paula Broadwell, that's why he primarily known, but I don't know how this guy was actually even considered like top-notch thinker in, in US Army, but evidently this is the guy who is in the background of the tremendous humiliation US Army and United States just got in Afghanistan. But he, speaking to Fox a couple days ago, stated that, yeah, we need to supply Ukraine with the game-changing weapons. First, if to believe that Russia is collapsing and Russian army is losing in Ukraine, why do you need the, game-changing weapons to start with? It's just basic logic. Even people who are pretty stupid can recognize that. But secondly, the question which should be asked, what is game-changing? What the United States nowadays has, which can game change anything which is happening on the ground there? I don't know. The only thing which I can say that delivering, if to imagine that, of Patriots Pack 3 or THAAD would change absolutely nothing, because neither of these air defense systems can really intercept anything what Russia has in its arsenal. It certainly cannot intercept even the Salvo, which is like 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe 12 calibers, which are slow, subsonic, or X-101s, which are also subsonic, but in very long range. But anything which comes with a little bit of stealthy qualities, which is, for example, X-101, long-range strategic cruise missile is, and but that's about it. It's not going to intercept Iskander, it cannot intercept Onyx, and let alone it cannot even intercept Kinzhal. Then the other question is, what else the United States can, ship to Ukraine? Well, the United States already shipped to Ukraine for the last 8 years. There are all kinds of the communication. It also sent the anti-counter battery radar, which is basically a radar which allows you to basically calculate immediately the position of the enemy who shoots at you, from the guns, from cannons. Well, but Russians have the same thing. It's called Zoopark, the zoo, and it works great. So I don't know. I mean, what, M1 Abrams? They will be burning pretty, really fast. And so that you begin to kind of count it. I don't know what he's trying to send there. The United States certainly cannot send, nice F-16s, F-15, they are nice aircraft, but they are really obsolete now in moral terms. No matter how much you put into them, they are not really a serious threat or contenders against the modern air defense, let alone against the Air Force, which flies Su-35s and now Su-57s. So that's the whole thing. They just constantly, walk around and run around this whole idea that, which is kind of schizophrenia. Ukraine is about to defeat Russia, and we need to send something for them to survive because, it has to be game-changing. So I don't know. So it's just militarily absolutely gibberish, and I don't know why Petraeus, humiliates himself even further than that. But hey, the guy knows it all better than all of us. But that also underscores the issue which I already on record for many years, that they don't know shit, pardon my French, about Russia. They don't understand Russian military. Those people who do, as number of American professionals, they are either purged or silenced. And so there you go. You have this propaganda basically environment, milieu, so to speak. And now you have expected. What's next? They have this 400 bodies allegedly, executed by Russians. What's next? Chemical weapons, of course. It is all good old, dictum, good old stratagem, that if you win, use chemical weapons. So it's so predictable. It is absolutely incredible. Including like Fox basically cutting out in interview with Zelensky his comments about of the, bestial and inhuman treatment of Russian POWs. They just cut it out. So that's your Western media, guys, and those are scumbags, and even presence of such people who try to deliver some kind of truth or objective view like Tucker Carlson, albeit I do not necessarily subscribe to everything he says. But again, one Tucker Carlson doesn't make any difference, guys. Yeah, he makes a difference for some people, but other than that, I mean, the Western media already self-sentenced them. They are basically a sewer. They are sewer in professional and in human terms. And fact is, again, there is a reason why I also want to see the war crimes tribunals established earlier, but they will be. And because there will be many accusations and charges leveled against the Western journalists, so-called. Of course, they are not really journalists; they are basically propaganda pushers. But yeah, that will be very interesting. And I'm pretty sure the situation with those 400 allegedly executed people will be also dealt with. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about today on Sunday. And I will be talking to you more, and as always, for those who likes what I do, please subscribe, and of course people who can, please help me and support me on the Patreon. That allows me to continue do what I'm doing, and I really appreciate all your help, all your support, guys. So please keep this in mind. So that will be it for today. Have a nice rest of the weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.